right, you guys? Podcast time.
Chew. It's quieter.
Fucking podcasting right now.
Chew quieter.
And now, to the podcast studio.
Okay, we're back with Chew Quieter, and today our special guest is Mr. Chris Meehan. He is also known as Drop Bear and the Crazy Australian.
That's me. I don't like to be too much crazy, but yeah.
Oh no, you're crazy. You're crazy.
Well, you got to be crazy if you want to put ketchup on tacos. So you know.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. How have you been?
I've been good. Bit of a life change in the last year from what I'm used to, but I've settled in out here at the Outlaw in Huntsville here, and it's been fun. I do miss the road and the shows and all the rest of it, but working behind a desk and just looking at the computer all day is a little different.
I bet the whole thing of a steady schedule is a huge benefit that you didn't know you had, though.
Well, yes. Well, now I have to wake up at a certain time every day and go to bed at a certain time every day. I wasn't sort of used to that. I was sort of, being on the road and doing shows. Yes, I had a schedule, but the schedule never, ever worked. Because like Amanda would know, when you're out doing shows, it's like, hey, how are you? And then you're past your bedtime by the time you catch up with someone. So, hang on. Hang on, I need to clarify. Armando always went to bed when he wanted to go to bed.
I have a strict bedtime.
Yes, you did.
and I always chose my room accordingly. Like, walk in. Okay, which one's at the top floor, away from the kitchen, away from wherever the living room, away from the subwoofers of the theater room.
Yes. Or never gave out your hotel room.
Or that.
Yes, there's a few people who gave that information at the very start of me doing shows and coming, to doing the off-road shows. They found out the hard way. Do not ever give out your room number.
Yeah, or else you get a 5 a.m. wake-up call.
Oh, yes, and Mr. Perriman got that very from the get-go. From the first time we met, it was in Texas at
Unlimited Off-Road.
Yes. Did I meet you at that show? Were you at that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nate and Will got that 5 a.m. phone call. Yeah.
No. They went. I was doing something. I had family something. And I didn't go to that one. But the first one I did. I think.
Yes, this was the second one.
The second one is you guys did that, and Nate went with Will, and they got the morning wake up calls.
Yes, that was hey, meet Chris Meehan. This is who I am. They call it the Aussie larrikin.
So speaking of who you are, as we can tell, and everyone can tell by your accent, you're from New Zealand.
Yes. Well,
wait! I thought he was South African.
Well, if you talk to Jeremy Purick's daughters, they say I'm from England.
England. So you're from Australia. You are from Australia. You came to the United States by way of
boat. I didn't swim. No, I flew.
Well, what I was going to say, because you had some sort of a partnership or something going on with Poison Spider. Is that right?
Yeah. So, there's a lot of partnerships. My first one was with John Schaefer from RPM Extreme. He used to tune my Jeep back at home in Australia. But then I also bought a lot of parts from Poison Spider and had a good relationship with Larry, Rick. Now you've really put me on the spot now. And a few other people, Starley and Dusty out there. And I was pretty much I think I was the first un-American Jeep to be sponsored outside of the US. So it was a lot of fun. And then I came over for SEMA via John, which would then I was proposed a job proposal with Poison Spider because I drove 18-wheelers back at home. and they were looking for someone to take over the seat in the Poison Spider truck to drive around and do all the shows across the country. So that was sort of set up and dropped pretty quickly because we found out Larry had cancer and all the rest of it. And then, as time went on, Poison Spider got sold off. So that job didn't come to fruition. But I made it here anyway.
So how long did you stay in the States after SEMA?
I was here, I think, a week and a bit. I took a trip to Canada, and I had my best mate with me, and we went from SEMA to Canada. I drove up from Vegas to Seattle, which I might say was an experience. Pretty sure we thought we were going to die that night.
Did you go through Did you go through the desert to get up to like Idaho?
Maybe. It was a lot of snow on the ground, so I don't know if we even saw a desert. It was a pretty crazy trip. Like I've never driven north of Vegas ever in the times that I've visited the US. So it was pretty eye-opening, and to be honest, I was sort of struggling in a physical kind of way driving up to Seattle. I drank a lot of alcohol at the Poison Spider party, and I'm pretty sure I had alcohol poisoning because my whole body I felt like I was in a fight for like 20 rounds with Rocky.
Oh, jeez.
My whole body was just bruised. My kidneys were sore. I couldn't get comfortable in the car. We got to, I think we stayed at Boise, Idaho, and I stayed at a hotel, and I jumped in the hot tub, and I was cold. Like I was shivering in the hot tub, and I didn't even realize what was going on until I got back to the room, and my best mate Leo turns around and goes, "Dude, why are you shivering for? Like it's not cold." And I didn't even know I was shivering until I looked. But that night, man, I had a pool in my bed that night. It was awesome. I woke up the next following day, felt like I just like $1 million, like reborn. My body was back to brand new. Felt like I was 18 again, running around, doing stuff. So
you probably
it was
smelled
pretty
awful
bad.
though.
Probably. Well, I did. I just did leave it all in the hot tub. So, but yeah, I've got some pretty cool stories since I've been here in the US, and none of them really involve alcohol, apart from that one.
So you go to Canada. You go to Canada after SEMA, and you just toured the west coast of Canada a little bit, or
no? So we just did Vancouver. My Leo, he was a Canucks fan, and so he really wanted to go and see the game. I've never been to an off-road ice hockey game before, and he really wanted to do it. And we did it in style. We're right beside the players' box, so we could pretty much hit the glass and like wave at them. And lucky we were on the right side team, not on the opposite side, because they wouldn't have got hellos. They would have got a whole lot of other stuff. But yeah, we just did a few sightseeing things. I really wanted to get Atlantic salmon because, I'm in Canada where all the salmon's at. And we walked 13 blocks, and guess what? In the restaurant precinct, mind you, on the north side, I think it is. I think it's called north side of Vancouver. 0 salmon.
wow.
But I did have the best steak I've ever had. So that's, I don't know how that works, and it was the very first restaurant we walked in. We walked straight past it and we walked back towards the port, and that's where the ferry's at, and that's where we ate.
So did you fly back to Australia from Canada?
No, we flew back into Vegas. We flew back into LA, into LAX, and then flew out from there.
What kind of timeline is that? How many hours is that flight?
Then I think it was 16 hours.
Yikes.
So it's 7 movies, fall asleep for 6 hours, wake up for 2 hours, have breakfast, and get off the plane.
So there's no layover. It's just a straight shot.
Yeah, and it's all over water.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's probably the scariest flight I take. Just knowing that if something does go wrong, I'm swimming.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
not.
at least they have a flotation device as a seat.
Yeah, and to be honest, I never ever checked to see if there was a life jacket under there. Because you just see
No,
it so much, you're just like, whatever.
No, it's the seat pad is your flotation device. You pull the seat pad off with you.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, that's you would have been fucked.
Well, you've only got if you're falling from 64,000 feet, I'm pretty sure you're going to kiss your ass goodbye.
As I was saying,
I ain't looking for a life jacket.
I'm not swimming at that
I'm
point.
not looking for a life jacket.
I don't know. I've dove off a high dive from about 16 feet, and you go down pretty far. I'm like, how far do you think you're gonna land in that water when you're going from 60,000 feet?
Yes, yeah, you're gonna hit like concrete, just splat.
Yeah. I'm done.
It's going to hurt a little.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Chris over here and a little bit of Chris over there, and there might be even the person sitting beside me meshed in bit Chris somewhere. Who knows?
DNA's all fucked up.
Oh my god, fish food.
Yeah, if the water's warm enough, then the sharks will just eat it all. There'll be no remains.
Well, it's the Pacific, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be warm.
It'll be warm.
Yeah.
It'd be good.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
at what point did you get employed by iDrive?
So if we go back a few months, I moved over here, got married, which didn't last very long. As people know me personally, will know why. But I got offered to do iDrive USA. He was a mate from back home through other friends, and just offered, do you want to take this on? Like, it's yours. We'll support you and let you grow the company over there in the US, because it's very successful in Australia. So I thought, well, why not? I had very good ties in the industry already, so I had a lot of help and a lot of support from business owners already here, like telling me, hey, go do this show, stay away from here, don't deal with those people, or reach out to these people because they will help you along the way as well. Because as we know in the industry, we all help each other. Mm-hmm. Most of us are all friends, so we all help each other out. So I got offered to do that, which was fantastic. I think I was at like 35 shows in the first year. And it grew really fast. At the end of the day, it's a good product. It works. I still have it all in my vehicles. Because I can't say anything bad about the product.
No,
Well,
it is still a good product.
Yes.
The first time Chris and I met was in a Facebook chat, and I was blowing up iDrive saying this is bullshit. This doesn't work. This isn't what you think it is. And what did you tell me? Hey, what the fuck is your address? I'm going to send you one of these, and you're going to shut the fuck up.
And I'm pretty sure that's exactly the language I used too. And you used it, and
I ate my words.
Yes. Well, you know what? Too, a lot of people eat their words. I've had a lot of big name people, including some top YouTubers. I'm not going to mention their names, but they're pretty high up there in the Jeep industry. He had to eat crow because 2 years later, I'm pretty sure he wanted to jump on the bandwagon like everybody else and go, I want the best product. And said, I want it. So they tried it and loved it. And still to this day, I'm sure they still want the product for their new vehicles they get. So, a lot of people thought it was snake oil. To be honest, I was one of those people. Mm-hmm. I got asked 4 years before I came. Well, when I first bought my Jeep, because I had a JK back at home, I was asked, hey, do you want to try this? Like, it works. And I'm like, why? I have a tuner. I'm supercharged. What more do I want? They're like, nah, trust me, you want it. I'm like, nope. I had to move to the US and put one in a car here to go, oh, I just wasted 4 years of fun. So
Now, did you have a different JK in Australia than you had in the US, or did you bring that over?
No. So funny story. US Customs would not allow me to bring it over because they said it won't meet.
NHTSA.
Yeah.
US standards. US standards are different than Australian standards.
Yeah, and I said to him, I'm like, do you know our standards are more than California? And they're like, did not know that. And I said, well, that's why the Jeep can come over here, because it has all the standards that California needs. You allow Jeeps into California, so why couldn't you allow my Jeep? And they said, well, it's not built here. And I've gone, yes, it is. It was built in Toledo. They just shipped them to Australia. But we worked out that the cost, like, it was going to be pretty cool because it was all, it was sign written up. It had, it didn't have big 40-inch tires like you guys had. I was already breaking the law in Australia with 35s, and I think I had a 3.5-inch lift on it. Well, actually, no, I think it was a 2.5. So I was already breaking the law. I had flat fenders on, no mud flaps. So I was pretty much, if there's a cop, it's kind of so they don't see you, drive away. And I think the sign writing helped because they had poison spider written all outside of it, and they just thought it was a business truck, so they just let me off. But when I came here, after we thought about it, it was probably not the best option to do, because it would have been funny going through the McDonald's drive-through, because like I'm over here on the side of the thing and I have to reach over to try and like grab all my drive-through stuff.
Oh, it was right side drive.
Yeah. Well, in Australia, we drive on the right side of the road, not the wrong side of the road.
See, that's why JP's kids think you're British.
Yes. Yeah. So that got left behind. I sold it. And then I've just built the JK here. I had great support again through friends, and we got the Jeep built pretty quick. I had some good partners in the industry help me out as well. So it came across really good. Right now, Drop Bear's not looking the best. He needs a rebuild, a body off. He's done over 300,000 miles in about 4 years.
That's a lot.
So he's had a lot of work.
Yeah.
And not much fixing up, because everything's a Band-Aid fix. Because it's a daily driven Jeep, so everything's a Band-Aid fix. Look at that. Find me. I didn't turn my phone off.
All right, so you're here with iDrive, and then as everyone knows, at some point they changed their name, and then all of a sudden we're seeing you here with Outlaw Offroad. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I can. Still to this day, I don't know what happened or what was said. I just got a phone call. Well, I got an email stating that, back in Australia, they wanted to talk to me. Had no idea that they said they no longer require me. And as far as I knew, well, I'm not an employee. From this very get-go, it was a partnership, because that's how it was stated, that we were partners in it. He was 51 and I was 49 because he wanted to control the name, which is quite understandable. He's built his name up in Australia, so why would I want to disrupt that? His recipe worked, and all we did was just add an American flavor to it. Because as we know, American ways of advertising things to Australians are completely two different things.
Right.
But yeah, so then I got a phone call saying no longer needed. Never really gave me an answer why. The only one they really gave me was because I complained why the marketing doesn't work here. That was pretty much their number one reason. And I'm like, well, because you're trying to market Australian ways and not American ways. And that's where we always butted heads, because, I don't know, you can go on social media now and look at their accounts. Their ones and twos, maybe a couple of comments. That's not marketing. It's not reaching a new audience. So it is what it is. I put 4 years of my life into it. It ruined a lot of relationships I had, because it's just so time consuming. I put everything into it because at the end of the day, it was pretty much my retirement was that business. And then once it got scraped out from underneath you, it's not disappointing. I was angry because I just pretty much walked away with nothing.
One relationship that you did benefit from or obtain during that time, though, is with your current wife.
Yes, Justine.
Congratulations on the nuptials.
Well, thank you. Yes, she couldn't be quick enough to put something on this finger, so she claims ownership. But yes, that was a blessing. I can't believe that. I've grown up a lot in the last. I don't know. I could say probably when I turned 43, it was like a switch went off, and I literally just everything changed in what I wanted in life. To a point where, I can give up that to take this, and I can put up with that to have that. Whereas before, it was just, no, I wanted to go in that direction, and if you weren't on my train, then you got off. Mm-hmm. But with Justine, it's completely different. It's very mutual. It's not one-sided. I support her and what she wants to do, and she supports me. Like moving to Huntsville. Like literally, we were living in Georgia. I met her when I was living in Georgia, literally picked up, and she was, if we need to go to Huntsville, we go to Huntsville. We just bought a house in Georgia. And literally, would have been a month later, I found out about Ultimate 9. And we had to scramble. We had a house we had to pay for, and Gerald was good enough to offer me a job, and which means I had to move to Huntsville.
How do you like Huntsville?
6 months. Huntsville's not bad. It's a bit of both. You get two worlds. You get, like right now where I'm sitting right now in the showroom of the shop. I have a neighborhood across the road, and my neighborhood's like literally just over there. I'm 30 seconds from the shop, but then you walk out the back and you're in cornfields.
Yep.
5 minutes down the road, I've got every restaurant I can think of. So it's very rural and city all in one.
It's very similar. Sounds like, well, I've been there, but it's very similar to where I'm at. It's very country on one end, and when you go into the town, it's very city. Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm an hour and a half away from Nashville, hour and a half away from Birmingham. Not that I want to go to Birmingham, but unless I'm seeing friends, because Birmingham in the last probably 4 years has gotten pretty rough compared to how I know it as. I think I'm an hour away from you, Gabe.
Yep.
You're just up the road, so when the weather gets warmer, we're definitely going shooting.
Yeah, you got to go to my range with me for sure.
Yep. Monday's still miles away, so I'm probably never going to call in for a coffee or ask for some sugar or a bottle of milk or whatever.
You could get lost. A couple hours.
Yeah, if he was closer to 40, if he was closer to 40, I probably would have called in there all the time.
Right.
But the getting from 40 is a little long.
So we had Jake Glazer on the show a while back, and he had talked about doing the ceremony for your wedding, and he accidentally called Justine by the wrong name during the ceremony.
Not once.
Not
once,
was
twice?
it just once? He didn't say that.
Yes. Yes, twice.
So did you both? I'm sure she knew, but did you catch it? Because I'm sure you were super nervous.
I did straight away. So here's the funny thing. So everyone who knows me, I'm not ashamed of it. I don't regret anything because I wouldn't be where I am right now. This is my third marriage. My first marriage didn't cry. I didn't feel any emotion. My second marriage, it was in a courthouse. So to me, it was very foreign we don't get married in courthouses in Australia. It's just you get married in a park or a church with a celebrant or a priest. Not saying that me getting married in a courthouse meant anything less. It didn't. I'm still married. I'm still getting married to the person that I love. But this time I was way more nervous. I cried when Jake walked down the aisle. Because me and Jake, we go back a long way. And then he said to me, he even got a bit teary, and he said, dude, this is the most nervous ceremony I've ever done. And he goes, I've done over 100. But this one was the most nervous he's done. And I think because of that, that's why he has acted the way he did, and he was mumbling his words, because he didn't want to stuff up.
Right.
And you know, when you don't want to stuff up, that's when you're going to do it.
Right.
But I couldn't thank Jake enough. Like, he's like a brother I never had. And I say that a lot because I treat most of my friends here like brothers I've never had, because I don't have any family here. So when someone like that treats me like they're one of their own, they're pretty much family for life. And I have a lot of people like that in my life.
So, I mean, she's got to be a special woman to begin with for getting married in Utah the way you guys did. I don't know if you know this, but my wife and we got married on the Rubicon Trail.
Oh.
So as I kind of appreciate her allowing you to do that, because it's a unique situation.
Correct. Well, and the thing is, so we went, she came out 2 years ago, I think it was, to an off-road event out there for charity, which was for Hero Off-Road, which Armando's still a part of. And she saw the Grand Canyon, she saw, St. George for the first time, Salt Lake, all those kind of things. So she loved it out there so much. We actually planned to get married on the Grand Canyon.
Oh, wow.
The shots that we took, and I've posted, apparently it's a, what do you call it? It's a lottery now. They only allow, I think 14 cars a day to go into that site now. Trail Hero 2021, I'm pretty sure ruined that, because they had like 40 people go out there in Jeeps and literally take over the whole parking spot, and no one could go out from the public and see the Grand Canyon. So they put a dampener on it, so we couldn't have the wedding out there, because they had like 100 people turn up to the wedding in St. George. I don't know how I was going to get 100 people out to the canyon. I picked the right time of year because it was Trail Hero, so everyone could take out their vehicles and go out there. But so we just ended up having it in town and at Snow Canyon, which turned out to be just as beautiful as it did being at the canyon.
Yeah, it looked like a nice ceremony.
It was. Thank you, Gabe. Would have been nice to have you out there.
Yeah, every year I say I'm going to go to Trail Hero, and every year I just can't get away.
Because I would have had my video narrated the whole ceremony. It's like, it would have been perfect.
I would have been your bouncer too.
Carl Stars presents the Meehan wedding.
It's not the quick trip.
Oh God!
It could be the quick wedding.
Okay, speaking of the quick trip, there was a scene in that in that episode where you had a funny situation. I don't know if you remember this or not. So I'm going to go ahead and play this for you.
Oh, yes.
And let's see if we can relive this.
Okay, can I just say something before you play that?
Go
Can
ahead.
I say something? Okay. I never ever knew this day was going to happen. I never met you before. I've never met I didn't meet anybody except for Marvin and Jeremy, which is another good mate of mine standing next to the Jeep there. Never met you guys before, so I didn't know we were filming, we were doing anything.
Right. It was very, very impromptu. We actually didn't even check into our hotel. We were driving through. We're like, hey, let's see who's available, and we'll just pull over here at Gemini Bridges and run it.
Yep.
And so we made it there.
Second trail ever out at Moab. I did Poison Spider. That was the hardest thing I've ever done. And then play the footage.
That was awesome! Yes! Yes, that was reverse! Chris, you're a fucking badass, dude! That's
Well, that one's not too bad. It's the one from behind that's the scary one. Have you got that one?
Which one?
Have you got the one where Adam's shooting it from behind?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the scary one. Here it comes.
You'll see on one of the videos there that the Jeep
Yeah, that was
runs backwards.
that was interesting.
Yeah, it definitely ran backwards.
So I blame Andrew Bailey for that one. It was already hard to get up, and to be honest, like I'm cold right now because the power went off in the showroom and the heater for some reason hasn't kicked on, and I'm actually shaking right now because I'm that cold. That's how I was in the Jeep, because this is the most extreme stuff I've ever done in a Jeep. There's no trees, there's no ruts. I've just got rocks and ledges, and I'm facing this way in my harness, and I got some redheaded guy telling me what I should and shouldn't be doing. I don't know this guy from a bar of soap. I got Jeremy up. I took Jeremy with me, Jeremy Hopper, to spot me because that's the guy I know. That's the guy I can trust.
Little did he know that we were going to be stuck on that trail for almost 24 hours.
Yeah.
So if anyone has not seen that episode of Kingdom Crawl, we were on Golden Crack, and Chris's power steering just went.
Yeah, the shaft actually came out of the pump. Yeah, but that was the first time I met you, and we pretty much bonded over that.
Yeah.
13 hours stuck on the trail overnight.
You know, somehow we found driftwood up on these cliff rocks.
Yep.
And that saved us, really, because
and I can remember someone saying, "You can't burn that because you will get arrested." And I was like, death or arrested?
yeah,
I think I'm going to take arrested.
yeah. But that
I
literally
ain't going to
didn't
freeze
save
to
us.
death.
No, it was cold as fuck that night.
Oh yes, it was fucking freezing. And again, being Australian, not brought up in America. I walk off in the complete darkness looking for wood. I had a little bit of moonlight out, and I come back with all this wood, and everyone's like, "Dude, are you crazy?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I just went and got some wood." They go, "Dude, there's mountain lions out here. You don't have a gun. You probably don't even have a knife." And I'm
That's
like,
not a knife.
"Oh, guess I won't be getting firewood now on. Someone else can go and get it."
Well, I remember the funny part. All of a sudden I had an intestinal issue, and it had to be released.
And wait, this is a common thing. You just finished with intestinal issue.
So this was an emergency that I had to take a bad shit, and luckily I don't know if it was you that had the toilet paper, Chris, but I asked for a shovel, and you're like, "A shovel, mate? There's nothing but fucking rock around here. Where are you gonna dig?" Luckily, I found a little bit of a sand spot and took a squat there, and
Yeah,
I was happy after that.
It was a funny trip because none of us took any food or drink. I think we lived on about this much water between us all.
Yeah.
And I think someone had. Jeremy bought beef jerky, and there wasn't much left of that. That's all we had to survive on. So it was a good way of, like, I bonded with Andrew Bailey that day, Marvin even further, Troy, you,
Josh Huntley.
Who else was up there?
Sean.
And yes, Sean, Mr. 392 now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was literally. It could have been the worst trip, but we made it into one of the best trips, and it continually gets talked about when you go to Moab.
Well, remember we went back there for that other event, and oh no, you weren't there. So I went back to Moab for a different event for that benefited Hero Off Road.
Correct.
And we were on Golden Spike, and I walked over to our spot, and the firewood was still there.
And wasn't there pennies still left
Yes.
on the rock?
Yes.
Yeah,
Actually, we did go back a few years later, didn't we? You and I were there.
Yes, we did.
And the wood wasn't there, but the fire
The pennies,
marks.
yes, was still there on the rock.
Yeah.
We definitely left our mark.
Yep. Yeah, that was an interesting night because everyone seemed to have some sort of a failure. Marvin had electrical issues trying to get out to help the rescue.
Yep.
And then
Troy broke down.
Troy broke down. And then when Sean finally was trying to come get us, his power steering started to go out too.
Well, and not only his power steering, his front locker wouldn't turn off.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And
But
he had the 20 cheeseburgers and Mountain Dews or something like that, right?
Yes, he had hey, even though they were cold, they were awesome.
Yeah, they were cold as fuck, but I still ate them.
But I can still remember it got dark really quick, and communication was very limited. It would fly in, fly out.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember we'd see headlights. Here they come. Where did they go?
Yeah. Oh, that's
And
not
it'd be
them.
hours ago. Oh, headlights. Nope, nobody.
Yeah. I think the
And-
most
and it
exciting
wasn't-
part was we saw Casey Curry in the distance racing in the desert, remember?
Yes.
Or we
Yeah,
assumed it was him because we heard he was going to be out there.
Yeah, he didn't wave. He didn't come past. Didn't see the fire. Like we had a signal fire going. Like help, help.
Literally.
Yep. So
Yeah, I
You
think
just
he
look
even
like
called.
overlanders.
maybe.
No, no,
was
like,
that
this is-
back then?
this is no shit. You actually called Domino's to see if they would deliver to us.
Yes. I
Like
called.
this is no bullshit. You actually did this.
Yes. We
And
tried.
they laughed, but
Yes, they did.
it was worth a shot.
Because they asked, where's the golden crack? I said, you know where the golden crack is? It's just a few miles up the road. You'll be fine.
Just past the Golden Corral.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun times for sure. Fun times.
Yeah. And then we also had another great time with American Crawlers. We explored Colorado for about
We
a
did.
week. What was your most favorite part about that trip?
I think doing Black Bear. I think doing Black Bear was probably the most memorable. There was so much that went on that trip. Yeah, a lot happened on that trip that, you know, someone nearly taken a what do you call it? A thing through the windscreen.
A flat link to the windshield.
Flat link through the windshield. You know, things like that. And
A trailer repoed.
disappearing. To the same guy.
Yeah, driving from Buena Vista to Ouray in the middle of the night down.
That was rough.
Down that highway with
Hang on, whoa. Hang on a
the
second.
trailers.
How was it rough for you two?
Oh, I had to
You were
stay
in-
awake.
Yeah, but hang on. You're in the Gladiator with Armando.
No, I wasn't with Armando.
No, he jumped in the Gladiator with me after he was freezing cold when we came back off of Holy
Cross.
Cross, and it was raining, and he was
Correct.
he was in Doug's Jeep, soaked from head to toe, and I was like, "This heat's on full blast. The seat heater's on."
I was in rough shape.
But leaving, Will pulling the trailer, Travis pulling the big trailer down that highway in the middle of the night after a shit day of wheeling and leaving there at like 10 o'clock when we should have left at 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys knew this or not. I thought my Jeep was using a lot of fuel, like chewing through gas.
Yeah, I remember you were talking about this.
Yeah. So when I traveling from Georgia to Colorado, I'm I felt like I was going through gas like every 150 miles. Normally I get like 230 miles to a tank of gas. And I couldn't work out what was going on. But it didn't feel... It felt like I was getting out more and more. And normally I have the same gas stop every single time I come across the country because I get 230 miles to a tank. So I didn't worry about it. We go, we drive, we wheeling. And it wasn't until we were going to Ure that I mentioned to Doug, dude, like my Jeep's using so much gas. And he's like, really? So he sat in the passenger seat while we drove to Ure with HP tuners out, hooked up to the Jeep, and he's reading all different sensors. And it turned out to be, he's like, oh, dude, I think you've done an O2 sensor. We had HP on the phone, we had Andrew Bailey on the phone, we had everybody on the phone trying to work out why this Jeep's using so much fuel. Well, we worked it out because when we got to, I can't remember, I think it was halfway to Ure, I said to Doug, dude, I got to get fuel. Like, I've used 3/4 of a tank already, and I've only done 150 miles. And he's like, what? We've done way more than 100. Dude, we've been driving for 3.5 hours. And he goes, looks at the map, and he shows me, and it's like 300 and something miles. And I'm like, dude, it can't be right. We worked out, because I don't use my fuel gauge, I work off my mileage. Mm-hmm. That new Chinese U-Butte JK Dash thing that came out that shows your Jeep running down the road was only counting, I was probably doing 9 miles to counting 1 mile on the trip meter. So it was giving me a false reading. So here I am thinking I'm going through so much gas, and I wasn't. And still to this day, I haven't fixed it. So now I do the opposite thing. I go off what the gauge says, not my miles.
So what was your favorite trail? Was it Black Bear, or was that just your favorite part of the trip?
Probably my favorite part, but my favorite trail that we did, what was it called? The one that had the big steep incline. I think it was the day that Chris rode Springs Jeep.
Oh, on Wheeler Lake.
Yeah, I think it was Wheeler Lake, the one where we went through the river.
Yes,
Holy Cross.
Holy Cross. We went down that ledge and down the waterway, and then we had that step up where Will put me into the rock.
Yes, and is that where we saw the moose? Well, where you saw the moose, Gabe? Was that that?
Yeah,
that was my favorite. That was my favorite
Holy
trail.
Cross.
Okay. Yes, that was my favorite trail.
That's a very nice trail.
Yeah, we went up to the back of that lake, and then we went under that old mine.
Were you went swimming, Armando?
And I went swimming. I chose the warmest water to go swimming in.
All the time.
It might have been the warmest water, but the conditions were not favorable. It was still cold.
Yes.
It was still cold, but it was nothing like the water that the other two knuckleheads jumped into.
No. Well, maybe
that water was shockingly cold.
Maybe they did have it a little bit more rough because it was windy also when they got out. So that wind hitting them with that cold water was probably really rough.
No, they hit the water and you could see the shock in their faces. No, that water was way different temperature. I put my hand in it, was like that was way too cold, way colder.
I think they probably came up quicker too because they had those little red squiggly things in the water there. You didn't have that where you were.
Well, mine was only about 1.5 feet deep, so it was getting some sun that warmed it up. So that water was definitely warmer. It was cold, but that wasn't death cold.
That what they jumped into was pretty deep.
Yeah, and that water was way colder. I put my hand in, I was like, holy hell, that's cold.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite trail, and one of my favorite trails in Colorado, the Wheeler Lake. Between the terrain, the scenery, the length of it, it's the perfect length, I think, for just a day trip.
Yep.
It's top 3 of my favorite trails in Colorado.
Yeah, but I bet the times that you've been up there, Gabe, you didn't get abused.
No.
For flying your drone around.
Yeah, so what we did, capture was a Karen on the trail.
Yes, I captured it because it was my drone.
She had 2 dogs, and apparently I guess she's a dog mind reader because her dogs told her that they didn't like the drone. So
Yeah,
she made it a
something like
point.
that.
She made it a point to stop us on the trail and tell us to take the drone down and don't fly it again.
Well, and no, she pretty much told us again, why are we up here?
Oh, that's right. She said it was a hiking trail only.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And
And I'm like,
majorly misinformed.
unless you've got a very wide person that's going to take up this whole trail, then you can call it a walking trail. But right now, it can fit Jeeps only too wide. Like, what's going on?
And then on the way back down, we had an altercation with a group of Jeeps that was just fucking ridiculous. So
Yes.
I
I can't even remember what that was about now.
So we were coming back down, and there was another event trying to go up the trail as we're coming back down. And we hit the right of way. We pull over to the side, and there was probably, I'd say 11, 12 rigs.
Yeah, something like that. We pulled off for them, gave them the right of way, because isn't the rule when you're coming down, they're coming up, you give way to the up?
Yep. So they just took forever. And these were rigs that were not built very well, to say it lightly.
No. I think they were put together with some twine off hay bales, and I think they were. I'm pretty sure they're still using arc welding on their welds. Because for how slow they were going, I'm pretty sure they were hoping that they were going to make it across the rocks.
So at one point, I told this guy, he's trying to talk to us. I'm like, yeah, dude, whatever. Shut the fuck up. Just go. We're waiting on you. Just fucking get the fuck out of here.
Yes.
And he stops and he takes his hat off and he points it at me and he's saying something. I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah. I think he was yelling out, I'm a fucking veteran and like you should be respecting me and whatever else. I'm like, yeah, we do, but like, can you like move along? Like, we want to get going.
We were in that spot waiting for them to pass us for a good 45 minutes.
Yeah, and then he pulled up beside me because you warned me on the radio that he's coming my way.
Yeah,
and he literally pulled up and abused me. I didn't even know who this guy was. He starts abusing me, and I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but he's gone on about you. And I said, dude, he's probably just frustrated because every person stops and talks. Well, we stopped so you could go past, not for having a conversation with everybody.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that's not how we come across. And I said, well, maybe you just pissed him off and he just let you have it.
Yeah, I'm very good at letting people have it.
No, you're not. Who told you that? That's false. False news. I've never heard that before in my life. Usually
on a trail, I'm very, I have a good demeanor, but as soon as someone pisses me off, then I flip the switch.
Yes. That has happened before.
Yeah. So during that trip, we had a culinary experience that I don't think I've ever witnessed in my life. And
I'm so glad I was late for that. I missed that.
Well, and what the thing is too, the reason for this is Armando's fault. Because it was literally the dinner that he sponsored with Artec.
Yeah. Putting ketchup on tacos is just harsh.
Look, what can I say? No flavor at all. I've done this 3 times now. I'll do it this way so you can see it, because this way you can't really see it. 3 times in my life now, I've had Mexican. I've made sure there was ketchup there. Because both times, they've all been no taste. We had to wait 3 hours to get fed.
Yeah, you're right. He does have a point, Armando. That place did not have the best flavored Mexican food.
Did you not test this first, Armando?
No, I don't fucking live there. We went any fucking mighty mo. Where are we staying? Okay, this one right here. No,
Hey, but
I didn't even. Hey, wait! I didn't even eat there. I wasn't even there.
Dude,
I had a sponsored dinner I wasn't at.
You could have made it, because it did take so long for him to come out with the food. You would have made it.
Yeah.
We tried. We didn't get it till later.
But hey, it's the best Mexican food in town. Because it's the
No,
only
actually,
one.
we tried a different one. No, there was 3 choices,
Ah, okay.
and that one had like the best rating. It was closest to where everyone was staying, so that's why we chose it.
Right.
Oh, it was open late that day, I believe, or it was open late on the days that we thought we were going to do it. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I believe I was still somewhere in New Mexico when you guys were giving me shit about Mexican food. You're missing your sponsored dinner. I'm like,
Yep. You didn't miss
So
much.
have you had real tacos though, like street tacos, not the gringo tacos?
I think I had something in Houston when I was there. Was the closest thing I've had to street tacos.
you never ate at the Coyote, El Charro Coyote in
I wasn't that
in
close
St.
to
George?
That the what?
At the El Coyote Charro Coyote in St. George?
No. I tend to
No?
stay away from Mexican food. It's like, hey, there's Mexican.
I'm not kind of that way with Mexicans.
Especially if they're walking on the side of the road.
yeah.
They might steal from you.
Yeah.
So Chris isn't going to Mexican food or House of Mac and Cheese.
No.
Wait, House of Mac and
No
Cheese.
mac and cheese. I don't know how you
So-
guys eat that. It's
So
like a staple
Chris
food.
has this aversion to mac and cheese, if you don't know.
Yes.
Is it because you're lactose intolerant, or is it just because
No.
you don't like noodles and cheese?
It's the smell. Because this is not a PG podcast we're doing right now, it smells like cat shit. I can't do
I don't
it.
know what mac and cheese you're
Hey.
eating that smells like cat shit.
It's just a small hint of it. It's like that. You'll walk past someone and you go, oh, what's that smell? It'll come to me sooner or later. That's it. That's the smell.
Is it? Are you eating mac and cheese from the box that's powder, or is it like
Yes.
home?
So it
That's
goes back
why.
to it goes back to my kids. My kids used to love mac and cheese, and it's the Kraft mac and cheese.
Oh God!
And I
Don't
used to have
do
to make
that.
that all the time. Look, mac and cheese at home in Australia isn't like mac and cheese here. Like mac and cheese here is like a staple. You guys get excited about mac and cheese. It's like Thanksgiving. You got the mac and cheese, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's the family recipe one. Oh yeah, that's awesome." And I'm just like,
Right.
"No, it's pasta and cheese. Like, how can you get excited about that? Like a cake." Yes, because you can't make a cake twice like somebody else makes it.
No, there's different variations to homemade mac and cheese that are
Yeah.
that can be incredible.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm going to get
yeah.
a lot of flack when it comes to mac and cheese. I always do.
You always do. I give her the most
I'm going
mac
to
and
get
cheese
shit hung
crap
on me
in the
left,
world.
right, and center.
You can't
I
show up
just
to work
can't-
tomorrow now.
No, I just can't do it. Like, I'm watching people and they're eating it like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And I'm just like,
You know what's going to happen now, right? People that come into your shop are going to bring you boxes of mac and cheese.
I know. Hey, there's some good elderly homes that I know of. I can take that mac and cheese and drop it off. So if you want, send me the mac and cheese. I will kindly take it to the old person's home down the road. They will love it.
All right,
But,
so
yeah,
now
I
we've
can't do it.
come to the point of the show where I need to ask you some questions about back home.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Mount Disappointment in Victoria,
Yes.
and you mentioned how it had a lot of similarities to Colorado.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It does.
So, is it more of the terrain, or is it more of the landscape where you're above a tree line?
No. It's the terrain. So you're below the tree line. So like where we were at that big rock ledge where Armando went into the rock.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff is like Mount Disappointment. It's very ruddy. There's rock, mud holes. There's no, like, you're in the trees all the time. So it's constant. Sometimes, yes, it's pedal to the metal and try and get up something. Unless you have a Jeep and you can just crawl it. So it's okay. But it's very, I off camber. There's a lot of V notches, things like that. So when we did the Colorado, it reminded me of home. Even though I live on the East Coast, I've wheeled AOP and Stony Lonesome and Windrock. That still doesn't remind me of home because it's very clayey. It's not rock and dirt. So it felt very home for me, which was good because it's been a long time since I've been out there. And I spent every weekend wheeling because it was in my backyard. It was half an hour down the road for me. I spent a lot of time there with my brother, my father, friends. I don't know if you realize that's where the big fires went through.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago. That left, I don't know if anyone's really seen a bushfire. It left ash probably 5 foot deep. So you drove through it and it's like driving through sand. But you're 5 foot deep pushing it down the road. It was just crazy what that did. And the animals and like, I never ever got lost in that forest, and it's the size of Windrock. I knew every trail, every tree that you turned here, that's what that trail is. You could never get turned around. Once that fire went through, I never recognized anywhere I was. I didn't even know where the trails were anymore. So it was pretty crazy.
So everyone imagines Australia as the outback, red, dirt, wide open, just barren. But that's just what you see on TV, right? Most of it is where the population is not like that, correct?
No, most of the people live on the East Coast. And well, pretty much along the coastline, the east side, down the south side to the west side is where most of the population lives. The inside is too barren, too bare. You've got to be really, really tough to be living out there, and you either got a ranch, we call them cattle stations out there, that are just so big it's like a state of Texas. Would be one ranch. Like, it's just insane the amount of size it is. But I will add, we do have clouds and we do have mountains. So I've had a couple of people, when I've shown them photos of back at home, they're like, damn, you got clouds? What? I thought you just had blue sky down there. Like, it never rains. It's always blue sky. And I'm like, no, we got clouds. It does rain. Like, Queensland floods all the time. I'm pretty sure I was talking to my mum, or Justine was talking to my mum last week, and they're flooded out in Melbourne. Like, they got major flooding right now. But I'm just like, yeah. And we also have mountains. It's not just flat.
It's not just flat with kangaroos everywhere?
Yeah. I'm like, they're in my
What the
backyard.
hell?
So is that where a lot of the crazy things that want to kill you live, is also in the outback, or is that along the coastline also?
We're going to have this argument again. So the common thing I hear, oh, are you from Australia? Yeah, man. Oh, everything wants to kill you in Australia. And I'm like, no. There's a couple of things, maybe a redback spider, a funnel web, and a few snakes. That's all you have to worry about. Oh, maybe a magpie that might come from the tree from behind, or I forgot about another bird, a plover, that just flies around trying to attack you all the time. But I said, you guys have way more things that want to kill you here. And they're like, no, we don't have big spiders. I said, they're not this big. They're this big. It's like, it's all exaggerated. And I'll tell you another story in a second about exaggeration, because you guys, I don't know what it is. Maybe you're just taught about America so much you don't know other countries.
Yes, Americans are very stupid like that.
You just block it out, right?
Yeah.
I don't call it stupid. I call it gullible.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
I lost my train of thought. What's not about? Oh, and yeah. So I said, you guys have mountain lions. You have bears. I don't know how many species of bears you have, but there's more than one. Snakes, things that fly around in the air, like bugs. You have ticks here. Like, the first time I came to America, I had a tick on me. I've never ever had a tick on me. And here it is on my knee. And John Schaefer was like, what was that? And I said, some green thing. And I just went, pfft. And he goes, I'm pretty sure that was a tick. He goes, did you get all of it? And I'm like, what do you mean, all of it? He's like, yeah, dude, it'll burrow down in there and you'll break it in half and it's still alive and give you Lyme's disease. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, welcome to America, Chris. Apparently I live in the most dangerous country in the world, and I'm going to come to America and die of a tick.
Find the smallest thing you can get and die from it.
Correct. I didn't even see it coming. But no, you guys have way more things that kill you here.
Oh, yeah.
Right, next
and you got
question.
wolves. So we don't have wolves.
Yeah.
We just have dingoes. Dingoes.
Yeah, that was
going
going
to
to be my next question. That was going to be my next question. Is a dingo just a wild dog, or is that a different type of canine, or what is it exactly?
I believe it's a wild dog. Now you're testing my history lessons now. If my mum's watching this, she's probably going to kill me. I think it was introduced, I think, from Asia.
Really?
And it migrated down and just became an Australian dog. Before the country split away from Asia and the plates moved and whatever, that dog stayed in Australia and just literally adapted to the landscape.
So essentially, it is the American version of a coyote.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So now, the one question that I've always wanted to ask you, and every time I see you, I've always meant to ask you this.
Okay.
A drop bear. I know it's a koala that comes down from a tree, but is it a rabid, like diseased koala, or is it just one that's normal but just happens to drop out of a tree?
Okay. So what a drop bear is? So I tell all the shows I used to go to, they used to ask the same question: what's a drop bear? Because it's written on the side of your Jeep. And I explained it to him, and this is how I explained it to him. I said, I never had a soft top in Australia. I always had a hard top. And they're like, really? Why? I said, well, you can't go out in the bush with a soft top because when the koala drops from the tree, it's going to come through the soft top and just eat everybody inside the Jeep because you can't get out quick enough because they're so ravenous. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I said, she goes, but they look so docile. I said, well, they are, because when they're in the tree and they're eating eucalyptus, it's like marijuana for them. They just get stoned.
Really?
And they're just dopey. And they're so quiet. Like you could probably, if you see one eating, if you're lucky, and he's like doped up, you might better pick him up. Maybe. But when they run out of eucalyptus in some areas, they get hungry, and then they turn feral, and they'll just eat anything. Including humans.
Did they just get the munchies from the eucalyptus?
That could be it too, Armando. I've never actually ever thought of that. I've never thought of that part. It could be just getting the munchies.
It's just the munchies. They're just gotta go eat something.
Let's go eat that. But
I know the feeling.
And that's what I said. When I came to America, I'm like, this is why I traveled around America with no hard top for 3 years in the elements, because I'm like, I'm never putting a hard top back on. I have no need. But yeah, a lot of people believe that story. You can Google it.
I might have to later.
There's a few pictures out there. But going to gullible people, my first trip to America was about my oldest daughter, she's 21 this year. Was probably 22 years ago, 23 years ago, when the plasma TV first came out. So it was like this wide, heavy. I was flying actually back home. We're in LAX. We flew United, and we were sitting in the middle of the plane. So it was my wife, me, and these two elderly couple next to us. And we're talking, and they're asking all about Australia. And I'm like, yeah, you guys have it so good here. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, you guys have these big screens, and they're flat, and it's in color. And they're like, what? I said, yeah. I said, I think you guys call them a plasma TV or something. And she's like, yeah. I said, you guys have 100 and 300 channels on that thing. I was like, all I did was stay here and just watch TV. I said, I watched the American Chopper, the whole series. Only one sitting. That's all I did. So I got back to the hotel, American Chopper. And they're like, wow. And I said, yeah. I said, and you have bathrooms in your hotels, so you don't have to go outside.
Wait, hold on a second.
What?
You have to go outside in Australia?
Yeah.
Gullible people, Gabe.
Oh.
There's one. There's one right there.
Yeah, right here.
To go outside to go to the toilet. 2, my kids ride horses to school. And they were like, hang on a second. We saw the brochures we're staying in, like the hotel we're staying at, what Australia's like. And I said, yeah. I said, that's called propaganda. We give Americans that travel thing, so you come to Australia. Because once you're there, it's a 17-hour flight. Are you going to jump back on a plane and go straight back home because it's not what you think it is? We just need you to come to the country. So we just make a whole lot of shit up, so you come. And that was so like, oh, she was nearly crying, but we've made the biggest mistake. And I said, I'll even prove it to you. When we fly into Melbourne, look out the window. I guarantee you're going to see kangaroos. And she's like, what? I said, yeah, they're all in the airport. Like, it's the bush. Because I know for a fact, every time you fly over, there's kangaroos down there. So when we flew over, she's like, oh, there's kangaroos down there. And I'm like, yeah, I told you. We live in the bush. It's primitive. We have black and white TVs still, and it's like huge black and white TVs.
The fat back TVs.
We get through the gate, and what's in front of us as we walk through the gate? A damn plasma. And I look at her and I go, ha ha, gotcha. I had it going for 15 hours the whole flight. From that point onwards, I knew Americans are gullible. They'll believe anything you tell them.
Yes, we will. Especially if someone that has an accent, because for some reason Americans think if you have an accent, oh, they're probably really educated.
Yeah, I'm not. I've just had a lot of life experiences. I never, to be honest, I never passed high school. I don't have a high school diploma. I left at, I think, 16 or 15 and just went straight to the workforce. Mm-hmm. So everything's pretty much self-taught. And
yeah, I can tell your education level because everything is with 16 and 15.
Yeah,
we don't pronounce the teen.
Well, I say 17 now. I don't say 17 or 13 or 14. It's very pronounced now. And the funny thing is, so my daughter came over for the wedding. Even when I went back to Australia for the short amount of time I did for 5 days to see her debutante's ball, which is like the prom here. Mm-hmm. She said, "Dad, you're losing your accent. Like,
really?
You're sounding more American than you are Australian." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And Justine's like, yeah, you are, because everyone here, when we're in Australia, she's like, "Holy crap, you don't sound Australian at all." But it's like if I hear an Australian, it all comes back straight away.
Sometimes my wife will say, "You're sounding really country right now," and I've developed sometimes a little bit of a country accent. Mm-hmm. It doesn't always come out. It mostly comes out when I'm talking to the local folk. But yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, though.
You need to remember, it's not an accent; it's a drawl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just gotta hang your mouth out and start right and talk like this.
Just keep drinking more whiskey.
See, there's only one word that will make me sound American, and it's when I say the state I live in. For some reason, I have to say it's Alabama. I just can't say Alabama. It's Alabama. And I think it's from Alexander Shinar. Do you know who that is?
No.
So have you ever driven through Alabama, and every billboard that's on the highway on the side of the road, it's an insurance guy, and his name's Alexander Shinar. And you're gonna hate me now because every time you come down, and they're in Tennessee too, just so you know. He's grown. He's on every single billboard, and on the radio here, it's on every 30 seconds. So when I first came over here, all I hear is, "Call me Alabama." Ever since then, I can't say Alabama properly. It's like it replays in my head. But that's the most American I can sound.
I still remember the first derogatory word he taught me that Australians use. Do you remember what it was? Do you remember?
No.
Abo.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's like another name here that people use, but
you said you wouldn't call an Aborigines an abo.
no. It's just the same as you wouldn't call that other person the N-word.
Yeah. So I've used it a few times just to be a dick.
You got some Aborigines in Tennessee?
Okay. So he's surely not.
I'm like, who are you calling Aborigines?
That's like saying a Mexican in Australia. That's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
No, so like for example, if someone is on Twitter and they're like, Trump is just a blah 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 and this and that, just making up shit. I'm like, you're a fucking abo.
What do they come back with? Are they Americans you're telling that to, or Australians?
Probably Americans, yeah.
Okay, so they're going to have no clue. They're going to think this
you have no
an
clue.
idiot.
Yeah, but I mean,
probably Googling it, abo. What the hell's that?
Yeah, but that's the whole point, is like to make them feel stupid,
Yeah, so there's a whole lot of derogatory things that can go on about Aborigines. Yeah. We call them a different name too. Name too. Yeah, we call them a bung.
A bong?
No, a bung. Like B-U-N-G, bung.
Bung.
Like a bunghole.
No, it's like a bung. Like you hit something, bung. So I was told this word when I was 14, traveling from Melbourne to Perth, which is like driving from Georgia to Washington State. Actually, no, sorry, I'll change. Yeah, it's probably that. It's probably that in one go. I was traveling in the 18-wheeler, which is what we call back at home road trains, so they have more than one trailer. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, he goes, "Hey, you see that Aborigine over there?" And I'm like, "Yep." He goes, "We call them bungs." I'm like, "Bung?" I'm like, "I thought that was an abo." He goes, "No, they're bungs." He goes, I said, "Why are they called bungs?" He goes, "That's the sound they make when they hit the bull bar. Bung!"
They bounce off the front of the truck.
And I'm just like, as a 14-year-old, I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, we hit them." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "So if anyone's watching this and you travel to Australia and you're in the outback and you see an Aboriginal, or pretty much anybody in the outback, unless they're, I don't know, they could be white too, I don't know, but typically if anyone's waving you down and they're an Aboriginal, you do not stop for anything. Includes boom, because there's probably 10 of them in the bushes back there and they're going to rob you, steal your car, and drive off."
Sounds like anywhere in America where you drive down MLK.
And yeah, I have another funny story about that one. I think it's...
Is that a Memphis story?
No, it's a Texas story. The first time I stayed in Texas, I can't remember what... It's 1649, I think it's called. And it's pretty much... I stayed in the worst neighborhood to ever stay in Houston, and I stayed there. In Houston.
How about H-Town?
in a hotel, and it was a Days Inn.
Oh, I know where this is.
Yeah, I had
is
no
it by
idea.
Hobby Airport? It was near the Hobby Airport? Yes, I've been there.
I had no idea where I was. I just got the cheapest accommodation and stayed there. And apparently I was in the worst neighborhood, and I'm walking around like, hey man, like, "Hey dude." And I didn't know gangsters stayed there. They're doing drugs in the parking lot, and they're probably, I don't know, "Here, have my gun, and I'll take your gun, and I'll buy that one," and whatever they were doing. I'm just walking around like everybody's friendly. And then someone tells me, she goes, "Dude, how are you still alive? Like, that is..." "And your car's still there?" And I had a white Challenger back then that I hired. And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" She goes, "Well, I don't know how that's not jacked. You are literally staying in the hood."
Yeah, it is.
So you know what came into my mind then? my most favorite movie ever, National Lampoon's Wally World. Where he's driving through, and he's in the neighborhood, and he's like, "Where's asking directions?" And his
Chicago.
hubcaps are gone, all his bags are gone. That's what I thought the next day I'm coming out to see. But luckily,
funny story about that hotel. They have a shuttle driver there. Or they had a shuttle driver there, and he asked me. He saw me one day. He's like, "Hey, you like strip clubs?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I like strip clubs." He's like, "We have the best one here." He's like, "Meet me after work. I'll be right here after work. Meet me here at 7:00. I'll drive you down there, and we'll go have a good time." I was like, "All right, I'll give it a shot." So I meet him down there. I jump in his car, and he stops at a liquor store. He's like, "We need to pick up some drinks first." And I'm like, a little confused. I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, out here, you could take the liquor into the liquor into the strip clubs." I was like, "This is pretty cool. Okay, that's a good idea." So I get a 6-pack. He gets a 6-pack in the bottle, and we go into the strip club. I'm in there for maybe 10 seconds, and I'm looking around. I'm like, "This is the most ghetto fucking strip club that I've ever seen in my life." And I've been into a lot of strip clubs.
C-section scars, bullet wounds.
Yes. So no sooner do I think that. So no sooner did I think that, this lady comes up to me, and she puts a little machine to her throat. "Do you want a lap dance?" And I was like, "Oh my God." I tell the guy, I'm like, "Listen, I'm finishing this 6-pack and we're getting the fuck out of here." He's like, "All right, let me just get a couple of dances." I'm like, "You do what you need to do, but I'm drinking this beer. I'm turning my back to this fucking scene."
I'm drinking these to get drunk, so I don't remember where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah, that area is the most ghetto, filthy, disgusting place in Houston.
Yeah. I've had some really fun experiences here, I must admit.
Well, I'm glad you're in America. I'm glad you're our friend, and I'm thankful for you coming on to the podcast with us today.
Before we do go, I have a bone to pick.
Uh-oh.
With the last person that was on your show.
Mr. Bill.
Mr. Schultz. So I went to Jersey this past weekend. We're actually relocating Justine's grandfather. He's 92 years old, down to Alabama, and I listened. Well, actually, I had to listen to it because I couldn't watch it. Listened to the podcast, and I literally sat in the truck while I was going to fuel up because Bill was talking about not only Mob Moab, but his racing days.
Yeah.
And then he started talking about the JL, and I'm like, "Oh, let's listen to what Bill has to say about the JL." And then you asked him, what was it like to have a brand new vehicle out in the lake bed? No one's ever done it before. What issues did you have with it? But he left one big issue out. He did mention that he had transmission issues. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Oh, Scott Blum, he helped us out, and, he was looking at this and that." And we had 5 Jeep engineers in the tent looking at this transmission, and none of them could work out how to fix it. This guy fixed it. And mind you, I'm the sponsor. My first time to KOH, I sponsored Bill's race team. I just wanted to sit back and just do this and just watch. Like, this is awesome. I'm at KOH. I've always wanted to come to KOH. This is awesome. I'm going to sit back. No, I got dirty. I was cold. I was under that Jeep till 4 o'clock in the morning. Bill gave up at 11 o'clock. He's like, "No, we're done."
Well, he's old. He's old. He has to go to sleep, so he's gotten out.
I'm not saying done, go to sleep. He says, "Done, I'm not racing." And I'm like, "Dude, I just drove from Georgia in my Jeep. You're racing. I'm going to fix it." So, it wasn't very hard to work out. It's a transmission. Get one hose and put it into the other hose, make it a continuous feed, send it on its way. I wake Bill up. I think I woke him up at 5 o'clock. I said, "Dude, you better start getting ready because you're racing." And Bill's like, what? I said, yeah, man, you're going. He's like, you fixed it? And I'm like, yeah, dude, you're going. So they race. Transmission held up. I can remember Bill coming back to me after they timed out, and the shocks just having a good old flap around, the reservoirs just flopping around. You can't knock rock crawler shock absorbers, because that was a rock crawler shock absorber just flapping around. I don't know how many hours that was just bouncing off the tire. It still worked when we got back to the pits. But Bill has a hard time thanking me for stuff. That same weekend we're at Moab, did he not just pick up that race car that weekend?
Yeah.
No.
Guess who fixed that one too?
You did.
in the house that I got with him and said, hey, you could stay with us, and guess whose Jeep was parked in the garage? Not mine. Bill's. I said, what's going on here, dude? We're working on it again? He's like, oh yeah, well, you know. And then comes to St. George with the same race car. Where is it again? In my garage. Who's fixing it? This guy with Ryan. Bill's just there. Are you done yet?
Maybe he forgot your name.
No, I called him straight after that podcast I listened to, and I'm like, all right, buddy, we got a bone to pick with you. And he's like, what? And I said, dude, I just forgot. I'm sorry. I'll make sure to call you out next time. I said, don't worry, I'm calling you out next Wednesday when I'm on the podcast. But no, me and Bill, we're really good friends. Have been for years. Always will be. We like to hang shit on each other, so don't think that I'm having to go at Bill because he didn't thank me. It was just another dig into Bill.
That's all right.
And I can do it publicly, so it's all good.
Yeah, he could take it.
Yeah, Bill's used to it.
He said he was prepared to get roasted today. So
he did?
I believe he made a comment on last week's show about one of the clips about getting roasted today by you.
Yes.
So
I saw that too, and I think I loved it. And I'm like, it's coming. It's coming.
Shit.
So.
Well, man, again, thanks for coming on, and it's good talking to you. Good,
I appreciate
catching
it.
up.
definitely.
And,
Yes.
I
Thank
can't
you.
wait for you to come up and bring your Lapua.
Yes, I haven't shot that gun for a long time. I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I want to hear that thing just sing.
Yeah, you'll have to teach me on how to sight the. I'm still learning on how to, do the whole range and turn this and turn that and.
Have you bought
how
your
to
first
be a
AR
proper
yet?
American.
Sorry, Ramondo?
You're still learning how to be a proper American and your guns.
Well, I have all the guns. So the first time I got the very day I got my driver's license, my American driver's license, it wasn't like I'm excited because I got my driver's license. I can drive on the roads legally now. I was kind of upset about it because now I can't get out speeding tickets and stuff because I had an Australian driver's license and no one knows what to do with that. I went straight to the gun shop. As soon as I opened it, oh yeah, gun shop, here I come. And that's where it started. I bought an AR, I bought a 9mm, I bought a SOCOM 458, and that's how the Lapua came, because I went to go to get ammo for the 458 and walked past the table with this big ass gun on it, and I'm like, oh, that looks good. He's like, yeah, that's a Lapua. I'm like, oh, how much you want for that? And he goes, it's not for sale. I said, everything's for sale, dude. $3,500 later, I'm looking for that gun. But yes, we do have to go shoot.
We will, absolutely.
All right, guys. Well,
All right,
thanks for
my
having
friend.
me on. Anytime,
Yeah,
just give me a call. I got plenty more stories.
I don't doubt it.
Maybe a little bit heavier next time.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, brother.
I got more juice on a Monday.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Be good. Be safe.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening.
Take care. See ya.